All right, here we go. We have legendary actor Leon in the building.
What's going on?
Man, everything good. Long-time fan. Long-time fan.
I appreciate.
5 Heartbeats is like one of my favorite all-time movies, hands down.
Yeah, you know, the one thing about the 5 Heartbeats is one of those movies that if you know about it, you love it.
Yep. And you know, that movie actually has a very interesting history, which we'll get into, because I just watched a documentary.
Oh, I'm glad you did. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's very good, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, extremely good.
Yeah, definitely.
Extremely good. Well, your first time here, I want to get into the whole story. So you grew up in New York City.
I was born in Mount Sinai Hospital right here in Manhattan, where my mom worked at the time. I was raised in Mount Vernon in the Bronx and living in Manhattan for the last couple of decades.
Okay, now when you talk about the Bronx in the 60s and 70s, it's very different than the Bronx of 2020.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think almost everything's different except for some parts of Manhattan. You know, I mean, I think the demographics, you know, who lives there, whose parents live there is a lot different than before. A lot of people have moved away. I think that's one of the problems we have with cities in general, specifically cities like New York, San Francisco, places where real estate has gotten to just be so outrageous. We're starting to lose our native New Yorkers. And when you lose the native New Yorkers, you're losing the city. You know, your city becomes a bunch of transit or implants. And, you know, that's one of the things I've always wished that there was some sort of a system and everywhere that people who actually grew up and lived someplace actually should get a discount, whether it be on taxes, property, or whatever, that encourages them to stay home.
Well, yeah, I mean, New York has that to a certain degree. I mean, they have rent control, you know, in every, like, you know, in a high rise I used to live in, part was rent controlled. So there's people with lower income that are allowed to live in that building.
There is rent control, and that is great. And there's not enough of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So here you are growing up in New York City, and you went to Mount St. Michael Academy?
Yep. Across the street from my house.
Okay. And back then, you were a basketball player.
Yes, without a doubt.
Okay, and you were pretty raw, from what I understand.
Yeah, no, I did my thing. That's for sure.
Okay, and at that point, did you know you wanted to act at all, or not really?
You know, when I was in grade school, Mount Vernon, we put on this production that I saw my sister's high school class do. It was Rock and Roll Revival. So we did it instead of this corny variety show. And I convinced the nuns to let us do it. And I played Chubby Checker. My other friend played Elvis Presley. And the Cute Girls played the Andrews Sisters. And it was held over 2 more nights because people loved it. But when I went to Mount St. Michael's, there was no drama department then. So I just excelled in athletics. But, you know, for some reason, I always had that, you know, that thing where I wanted to go to California. So I was only looking at schools and visited schools or scholarships that were in California.
Okay, and you went to Loyola Marymount University.
Exactly.
Okay. And when you got there, I guess you were just running around campus and like a student filmmaker asked you to be in a movie.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, and I said to him, why don't you get somebody in the theater arts department? I'm sure they would love to be in your movie. And he was like, no, there's something about you. I've been observing you. I'm a director, and you're going to be in the movies one day, and I want to be the first person to do it. So, you know, I just said, yeah, okay. And I went and did it and had that familiar feeling that, you know, that this is where I was supposed to be. So I switched and became a drama major.
Okay, and you graduated?
No, I didn't graduate. I just started working.
Okay. And your first film was All the Right Moves with Tom Cruise.
Right.
Okay. And how did you get that film? How did you go from just being, you know, one of the struggling actors in LA to actually getting a major film like that?
You know, the first couple of things that were happening were just like kind of destined to be. You know, I heard they were, what happened? My agent sent me on a casting that was going to happen in New York while I was home. And I said, well, I'll go home and I'll go into casting. And I just went and read. There was a bunch of people there. And I remember they said, can you stick around? We want to read some actresses to play your girlfriend. Now, you know, I'm pretty new, so like I don't know what that really means, you know. So and we don't, and at the time we don't have like cell phones, just pick up the phone and call somebody. So you know, after a while I had to realize, okay, I'm the one getting the role if they're reading girls to play opposite me. So yeah, that was interesting. And then, you know, even the next movie after that was the same exact thing. It was like, it was just like, it was immediate, you know?
Okay. In All the Right Moves with Tom Cruise, did you have any idea how big of an actor he was going to be, you know, today?
No, but I knew that he would be. I mean, I knew he was very dedicated. He was very dedicated to his craft, very dedicated to being, you know, who he was going to be in the movies. And he was a very hard worker always. And it was something that was very evident. Yeah.
Okay. Then the next film you did was Flamingo Kid in '84.
Yes, my buddy Matt Dillon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Another, you know, big budget theatrical release film.
Yeah, you know, it was actually it was one of the best reviewed movie of that year. It was a really good movie. I guess it got 2 Golden Globe nominations for Richard Crenna and Hector Elizondo. Yeah, it was, you know, it was yeah, it actually got screwed, I guess, at the box office because it came out and it was doing okay, but they had another movie, 20th Century Fox. It was actually their movie. I think they were distributing that movie for ABC. So they, you know, when they moved that out to theaters to put in, I forgot what movie it was, but which didn't even do that well. But the movie was very well received. Yeah.
And then came the movie that I got introduced to you in, which was Colors in '88.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say Band of the Hand. Colors, yes, the definitive gang movie. I was just talking to someone about that in this last movie I did because they hadn't heard of it.
Right, and Colors was a very interesting film. You played Killer B in that film.
Yeah.
It starred Sean Penn and Robert Duvall. Dennis Hopper directed it.
Legendary Dennis Hopper.
Don Cheadle was in it. Damon Wayans was in it. Mario Lopez was in it.
Yeah.
But this was actually, I believe, the first film that actually put Bloods and Crips on the big screen.
Yeah, it was the definitive gang movie. And from the soundtrack to the extras, they were really gang members. And, you know, as actors, Robert Duvall and especially Sean Penn, you know, they get deep into their roles. And so was everybody else. And so that, you know, when you have people at the top doing that, it makes for a very realistic movie. I can tell you, Dennis Hopper, man, he was amazing. You know, when I had to take those gunshots, you know, that required quite a bit of prosthetics on my back, you know, about 3.5 hours worth. He must have spent at least 2.5 of those 3.5 hours with me while I was getting done. You know, so I got to give it up to him as a director.
Well, I mean, like I said, you look in 2020 and you have Bloods and Crips in every state, in almost every country.
Mm-hmm.
You know, rappers are becoming Bloods and Crips after they become popular. You know, it's in popular culture, you know, and so forth. You almost wonder if it wasn't for that film, would that have happened, that phenomenon? Because there were so many other gangs around the country, but Bloods and Crips in particular, after that film, I felt like were romanticized to a certain degree.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it. I've never heard anyone say Bloods and Crips have been romanticized. So, but you know, I don't really know if it's so much of it being romanticized as it gaining popularity as opposed to people wanting to have that name to whatever sect that they're part of, you know, to have that kind of worldwide appeal, or at least at the very least American appeal.
Yeah. I mean, did you know it was going to have that type of impact when you were working on that film?
No, but I mean, I thought that it was going to have, I thought it was going to be a movie that was going to be very well received, in the sense that as far as reality, you know, and what was going on. I mean, everybody was committed to, you know, being down there in the hood, really portraying things in a real way.
Were there any issues in filming it with having actual gang members around during that time?
There were some issues, but I think those issues were cleared up before the film. You know, I think that, you know, of course, each sector wants to make sure that they're represented the proper way. Do you know what I'm saying? So, but at the end of the day, yeah, I think that it was appreciated.
Right. And that film, I think, kind of solidified Ice-T as an artist as well, because he did the theme song.
Yeah. No, definitely. You know, that was around the time that Ice-T was, you know, he was Ice-T. Yeah, he was someone that was definitely on top of his game and on top of the charts.
Well, in 1989, you co-starred in the ABC miniseries The Women of Brewster Place, where you played Robin Givens' boyfriend. And this was around the time that she was getting divorced from Mike Tyson.
Yep.
Did you know about that whole situation? Did you guys talk about it at all?
No. I mean, I knew about it through the press, which was everywhere, but no, I never addressed it. You know, I was Apshu. I was her boyfriend on screen, and that's the way I kept it. You know.
Okay.
I don't lie. I'm not a very messy guy.
Okay. Well, and then in that same year, you were in the Madonna video, Like a Prayer.
They actually came out within 10 days of each other. So it was, it was a pretty interesting time for me in the press.
Okay. And, you know, people really have to understand how big Madonna was in 1989. Like, she was the biggest artist in the world. I mean, her and Michael Jackson were probably like neck and neck during that time.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I don't know if they were neck and neck, but, you know, she was just, you know, it was her first record after her divorce. She was coming out strong. And, yeah, it was, I mean, she was at the top, without a doubt. And you know, she's been on and off the top for a couple decades. So, you know, she definitely is earned the right to be called iconic.
Oh yeah. But I mean, during like the late 80s,
yeah, she
was at her absolute height.
Yeah, easily.
Okay. So
I mean, into the 90s, like I say, all that from like 89 when she came back to like 95, especially, all that time was all Madonna. Right. All Madonna.
Right. So they approach you to do this music video and you turn them down twice.
Yeah, well, I turned them down the first time because, I mean, you know, I was doing studio movies. I was like, why would I want to dance around in the video with Madonna? So I don't know anything else about the video except that. Right? That's what I'm thinking. That's because that's what you do in music videos, especially with Madonna. Right? So I'm like, you know, what do I need to be doing that for? And so then the second time around, my agent said to me, why don't you meet Mary Lambert? She's a feature film director and maybe something else will come out of this. So I met her and she explained to me the concept of the video and that she wanted me to act, you know, and to play two different people. And I was like, oh, okay, now I'm intrigued. And, you know, and so from that, I was like, okay, well, let me hear the song. And I heard the song and I was like, wow, I know that's number one. So I'm like, okay, you know, and so, you know, from that, it was, you know, pretty much simple. You know, after I met Madonna, you know, and we seemed to meet everyone's approval. So made the video and it was, wow, it just became, you know, huger than I thought it would be, especially from the jump. Because I thought it would be the lead-off story in like the calendar section or the, you know, entertainment section. I didn't know it'd be the lead-off story at 5 on every news station. You know, the front page of the newspaper, not in the calendar section. You know what I'm saying?
So the whole concept of that video is very interesting. So you're getting arrested in the beginning and then she's sort of running away from something and she goes into a church where there's a kind of a religious statue of you in a way.
Right, but first you have to realize that she saw a crime being committed against a woman by some thugs, okay? And then she saw the police come and arrest the black character, black man, instead of the real guys who did it. And she saw this all. So what does she do now? Does she keep quiet or does she go to the police? Well, what does she do? She goes to church for guidance and she prays there. And in her experience of her prayer, the saint comes to life in her dream. And the video goes on. And at the end of
the saint is Saint Martin de Porres?
Yes. And at the end of it, she winds up making the right decision and going to the police and getting the innocent man out.
Right.
Very positive.
And,
very positive. Very positive.
Right. And at one point, her hands are bleeding like Christ, pretty much.
Yeah.
Right. Her palms.
Yeah. When she pulls away.
Yeah. And did she kiss your feet at some point?
Yeah.
Okay. Having Madonna kiss your feet on camera is not a bad look.
No. It's definitely one of the selling points. Yeah.
And you guys actually kiss at one point.
Yeah, of course. Definitely.
Right. But then there was this one scene, and I remember because, I'm old enough to actually remember when this was coming out. When the video was coming out, there was all this controversy around it. And I remember MTV showed the video to like a black man, and he goes, "What's up with those burning crosses?"
Mm-hmm.
And she's like dancing in front of a bunch of burning crosses. Number one, what was the significance of that?
Well, that I can't tell you. I wasn't the writer of the video, but I would imagine it's a visual effect. And that's it, crosses burning in the back, it's like, you can look at it any way you want. That symbol doesn't just belong to a racist hate group. It also belongs to anyone who wants to be inspired by it. So if it's at night and the crosses are burning, depends on who's burning them.
Right. Well, it was a purposely edgy video, and especially back in '89 when you didn't have interracial relationships like that, and Madonna kissing a black man and everything else like that. The whole thing kind of created a controversy. I think a good controversy.
Yeah, it's actually I think she might have posted, or at least whoever posted for her recently, which I reposted, how the video stands up so well today. As opposed to, showing about how things are in today's world. It'd be interesting if that video came out today.
Yeah. And I guess that video really kind of picked up your career.
And unfortunately, no, not really. What it did is it gave me, let people know who I was. So, because I got a lot of press. And although I was working, consistently, it's like that. There were some roles. For some reason, they seemed not to be that exact roles and stuff that that I wanted to have. But I did have some good roles and memorable roles, and that's what I'm really more important to me, is having memorable roles.
Okay, well, speaking of memorable roles, in 1991, that's when The Five Heartbeats came out.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and that movie was based on the Temptations.
Well, I think the original idea that Robert had, and if you ever see this movie, you should watch it. It's a documentary called Making the Five Heartbeats. It tells you the story of him, how he came up with it, him and Akeem Ivory Wayans, who actually wrote it. The movie turned out from his love of the Temptations, which inspired him to wind up making the movie. So in some respects, it wasn't about them, but I definitely inspired it, without a doubt.
Oh, yeah. There's a part of the documentary where he wanted to use, two members of the Temptations.
Yeah. Eddie Kendricks and David Ruffin.
Right, exactly. As consultants, but then, the studio was like, nope, we're not going to do that because then they're going to think that Big Red is actually the head of Motown, Berry Gordy, and he's going to sue us, and we're not doing this shit.
Right, exactly. Right. So, yeah, right. So they used the Dells.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And, hell of a movie. You played JT in the movie.
Yes, Robert Townsend's brother, Duck and JT.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And when you guys were working on it, did you feel that this was going to be a timeless film, or just another film that you're working on?
Robert was very adamant that he was trying to make a classic. He wanted to make a movie with five black men who actually worked together, performed together, went through trials and tribulations of life together, and stayed together. And he did that. He fulfilled his part of the deal. So And I think he definitely instilled that in us, and definitely the way the studio reacted to the movie when they saw it made us feel that way as well.
Well, you and Michael Wright on the film had some issues on set.
I would say that if anyone had issues on the set, it would probably be Michael and Robert. You know what? Now I might have been involved in it while Robert was upset, but yeah, you know. But I think that it's only natural when you have a. See the difference in some movies, in this movie, where the reason why you're inherently going to have a problem to some degree is because you have a lead singer and you have a heartthrob. Usually the lead singer is the heartthrob. But when you have one person who's the lead singer and the other one who's the heartthrob, there's going to be some problems sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Ones you don't even have to even create. So, and I think that's just real. That's what happens in a real group.
Yeah, and you were the heartthrob.
Yeah. I mean, that's what he cast me as.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, but both of you killed it in your roles, let me just say.
No, yeah, please. I mean, Michael's fantastic.
Yeah.
Michael's fantastic as Eddie King, and everybody was. I mean, it's just, very happy to be in that movie. Very, we lost, one of our greats, Diane Carroll, last year. And, that was one of the most exciting things in the world. I remember me calling my mom and telling her that, Mom, you're not going to believe this. You know who's in the movie with me? Julia. Because she was Julia on our TV series when we were kids. She was like the only black female actress that had a TV series. And she was like gorgeous. And I was like, wow, Mom, I'm in a movie with Julia.
Well, in that film, I think you have one of the most iconic movie villains of all time with Big Red.
Oh, yeah, Big Red is fantastic. Hawthorne James is the actor, yeah, and he was amazing. Shakespearean actor. Yeah, I mean,
right.
Yeah, so he really, yeah, he made Big Red one of the most memorable characters in that movie, for sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that scene when Big Red was talking to some of his friends and, the guy walks up to him to talk about his royalties.
Oh, yeah.
He said, office hours are from 9 to 5. And he said, I don't give a shit. I want my money. And then that's when he got held over the balcony.
Hell broke loose after that. Yeah. Rumor has it that's happened to a few people.
Yeah, I mean, there's a Suge Knight Vanilla Ice story,
But I'm talking way back from the 60s and 50s.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. Now, that was Big Red, even in 2020, I think, is still such a powerful character.
Oh, yeah. No, Big Red is that's a memorable character for sure.
Well, you guys spend all this work and money on this film, and the film comes out, and it pretty much bombs the first week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how heartbreaking was that?
To be honest with you, man, it was more of a shock. We were surprised. It scored so high. It scored higher than Home Alone, the test screening. So it was, but there were inherent problems. It wasn't the type of movie that 20th Century Fox had released before, so they didn't really know how to get to the black audience. And Robert talked to him about where we need to have signs. We need to have signs on buses and in train stations, and they didn't do that. That was like policy. They didn't do it. It's since changed their policy. So what happens is that the trailer was out only 4 weeks before, and then the violence that has surrounded the opening of New Jack City didn't help. So Five Heartbeats came out right after that. So timing. But fortunately, it's a movie that got recognized by people. They found it and they love it, and it's like their movie.
Right, because I didn't see it in the theaters either. I didn't even know it came out. But when I saw it on TV, I don't know if it was like HBO or whether it was broadcast on a network or whatever. It was like, yo, this film is incredible. Like, where did this film come from?
Yeah, no,
and yeah,
people love it. Yeah, they love it.
They like anyone who's watching this, if you haven't watched Five Heartbeats, you absolutely have to watch this film. And at one point, you actually ran into Mike Tyson, and he told you about the film.
Oh yeah. Mike loved it. He told me not to tell people that he cried though. Hugged the hell out of me. It shit hurt.
I cannot imagine Mike Tyson watching Five Heartbeats and bawling. Like, I just can't quite imagine it. But
yeah, no, but it's cool. That's the way it affects people, man. People. That's the movie that they watch for their family reunions and their holiday movie. So it's like it's great.
And then the next film was Cool Runnings, about the Jamaican bobsled team.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, that's another one people love. Yeah, all around the world, it's great.
Oh yeah, and it's actually based on a real story. Like,
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, 1988
actually had a bobsled team that made it to the Olympics.
1988 Olympics, yeah, in Calgary.
Yep. I think that same year you did Cliffhanger with Sylvester Stallone.
Yep. In Italy, in Rome, and Cinecittà Studios in Rome. It was great.
Now, what was Stallone like to work with?
A lot of fun. He's got a great sense of humor. A lot of fun to be around. I enjoy working with him.
Okay, so by this time you're just doing movies back to back, and you're having lead roles and co-lead roles and everything else like that. How do you feel about your career at this point? By like 93, 94.
I feel good. I feel like I'm ascending. I'm looking, but I'm still looking for a certain level of film, and that's something that you're constantly always looking for. You're looking for that vehicle, that can allow you to demonstrate what you can do, but more importantly, tell a storyline that's important or that's memorable. Because we watch so many movies, we get flooded with things all the time, but very few things we remember. The way you talk about the Five Heartbeats, you remember that. You're not going to forget that film, and that's the kind of work I strive to do. It's things that you can't forget.
Well, after that comes Above the Rim, mm-hmm. which is an all-time classic as well. When you got that role initially, like how did you get Above the Rim?
I met with Jeff Pollack, who was directing it, and I casually knew Benny Medina, who was the producer of the film. So I met with them, and they thought I was too young. So I said, well, I'm an actor. Remember that. So I came back and saw him, I think a couple of weeks later, and I convinced him that I could be old enough.
Right, and you played Thomas Shepard in that film.
Yeah, exactly.
Who was Birdie's brother, played by Tupac?
Exactly.
Okay. Now, I guess when you first met Tupac, he bowed to you.
Yeah, but not like
Yeah, jokingly.
Yeah. No, because he had such reverence for the Five Heartbeats. That's why.
Okay, and this was really one of Tupac's signature roles, I feel. Along with Juice and Poetic Justice.
Yeah, I thought he was great. I thought great, memorable, strong presence, as we know, without a doubt.
Well, I was watching your interviews this morning, and you said that on set, Tupac was completely professional, showed up on time, knew all his lines, did his job, but off set, it was just chaos.
Yeah, offset, we had to shut down production a couple times because he got into incidents either with the police or whatever, or, wanting to get involved in somebody, maybe selling T-shirts of his, whatever. There was always things going on, unfortunately. But when he worked with me, when we did our scenes, he was 100. And I thought he shined.
Right, because it was during that time when he shot those 2 off-duty white cops in Atlanta.
Yep, exactly. Right. So,
now, a black man shooting 2 white cops in the South was unheard of. I mean, and getting away with it, because he ended up beating that case.
Yeah, well, you have to remember, he was Tupac.
Right. And I mean, I've interviewed Edie from the Outlaws, and he actually detailed that whole situation.
Really couldn't see what was going on, but it looked like a fight. And as we got closer, we seen it was 2 white guys jumping a black dude. You know what I mean? And initially it was just like, y'all get out the way. We trying to park because they was right in front of the entranceway of the hotel we was pulling up into. And it was just about, trying to get them out the way. And then upon further inspection, you see they kicking this dude's ass, really. You know what I'm saying? They working him over. They giving him the business, and immediately, Pac just jumped out the car, and per the usual, whenever he jumped out, everybody was going to jump out. That's just how it went. And so, but we got a caravan. We got a caravan of cars. It's about 7, 8 cars coming with us. So everybody's walking up. Pac was in the lead car, so everybody's coming up, to see what the fuck is going on. And by the time we actually get up there, this is when, a gun comes out and is pointing at Pac's sternum.
Okay, so one of the white guys pulls out a gun at Pac. So what, Pac runs in and tries to break it up, or?
I mean, he was running in, basically, I don't know what his mind, his thought process, but I'm assuming, because I know him the way I know him, he wasn't just going to ride past that and just be like, all right, that's on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hope you figure it out, homie. So, like I said, we was coming up from a long caravan, so couldn't really hear a lot of the dialogue, but, they was going back and forth, and like I said, a gun came out, from one of the white dudes. Now, at the time, we don't know the cops. They just 2 white boys beating up a black dude.
Because they're off duty.
Right. They were off duty. It's not like they was in uniforms and none of that. Mm-hmm. So, a gun come out, and Pac pulled up a shirt and was like, thug like, motherfucker, shoot. You know what I mean? And that just stopped the cop in his tracks. He didn't know what to do at that point. So he was standing next to Pac's car, brand new BMW 750 he had just bought, and he just broke the window with the butt of the gun.
The cop broke Pac's window.
Yeah, with the butt of the gun, and then turned around and started running. You know what I'm saying? And the rest is history.
Well, Pac ended up pulling out his gun.
Exactly.
And shooting at the 2 white off-duty cops.
Yeah, exactly.
Shot both of them.
Got down on one knee.
A black kid was getting beat up by 2 white guys. Pac came in. The white cops pulled out guns, not identifying themselves as police. They were also drunk, and Pac pulled out his gun and ended up shooting both of them. Here you are working on Above the Rim, and then someone tells you, hey, by the way, your co-star just shot 2 cops in Atlanta yesterday.
Yeah, no, even worse than that. I just look at the morning paper. I'm like, oh, I guess we're not doing that scene today.
Okay. So they just shut down production altogether when that happened?
No, they got to shift things around,
Right. And I guess he was passing out blunts to the crowd when you guys were doing the basketball scenes.
Oh yeah,
so forth.
yeah. He was true to his character, definitely.
Okay. Well, what's interesting is that after that film was done and released and so forth, you were actually sitting next to him at the Mike Tyson fight at the MGM in 1996.
Yeah, he was sitting just a row behind me.
Okay, so you reached back to him and talked to him? And
oh,
so
yeah,
forth?
no, yeah, definitely. Say what's up and, whatever. Yeah, of course, yeah.
What was the vibe like in terms of him? Like, because he obviously did not know what was about to happen.
Be honest with you, man, he was beyond rambunctious. I mean, he was yelling at the referee to the point where the referee could hear him. He was calling the other guy a bum. It was like he was going off. I mean, he had a lot of energy that night. And so I guess whatever happened spilled out into the lobby. And then from there, I remember we were all out and we got the news. It was rough.
When you heard that Tupac got shot, literally, what, an hour or two after you just saw him?
Yeah, a couple hours. Yeah, definitely.
How did you feel?
I mean, it was shocking. It was like, really? And like, wow. I mean, at that particular time, we're hearing about all kind of violence and stuff, especially in the rap world. And so, but when it's somebody you actually know, and it's somebody that that whether we know or don't know, we have a love for, gets caught up and dies for it. It's kind of it kind of hits all of us, I think. Because like, what's going on here? I thought this is really about music. Isn't that what it's really supposed to be about?
Well, right, because shortly before the shooting in Vegas, he had gotten shot at Quad Studios. Maybe a year before or something?
Yeah, it was, it was definitely not far from the time of Above the Rim, that's for sure.
Right. Did the quad shooting happen while you guys were filming Above the Rim, or?
Yeah, I can't remember. It was pretty close, though.
Oh, yeah, so the quad shooting happened in 94.
Yeah, that's when the movie came out.
That's okay. So after you guys had filmed it, the movie comes out, and then boom, Tupac gets shot.
Right. That's what I thought, yeah.
And then he goes to prison for the rape case. And then he gets out on appeal, and then then he's out. He becomes a superstar once again. All Eyes on Me was like the biggest album of that day. He's riding the biggest wave ever, and then
but he's under Suge's thumb.
Yeah. Were you around Suge at all, or not really? No. Okay, because leading up to this, what I want to say was, all of us, I'm living in the Bay Area at the time. You hear the news of Tupac getting shot in Vegas, and you think, okay, he just got shot again. He got shot 5 times a year ago. He's going to get out. He's going to make a song about it. He's going to talk shit about the dudes who shot him. And then he's going to go back to being Tupac again. But a couple of days later, you find out that he actually passes away. When you heard the news that he actually died, what did you think?
I think at the time where he actually passed, I had already, come to the realization that he was going to die, based on the state that he was in. I mean, so I just thought it was a matter of time. And because if he didn't die, what was he going to be, a vegetable? What was he going to be, at that particular point in the state that he was in? He was, the person we knew was gone. So, I figured it was just a matter of time.
Yeah. I've interviewed more people around the Tupac story than I think anybody, from all the people that were there, even down to Keefe D, who was actually in the car that shot at Tupac, Orlando's uncle. Yeah. And he literally described the events leading up to the shooting, the actual shooting, and then what happened after the shooting. It's such a loss because, even though people like to do the conspiracy theories that the police killed him or Suge had him killed because he wanted his money or whatever, the reality of this, and it's consistent with everyone I've spoken to, including the guy in the car, was that Tupac decided to go jump on this guy, who was an established gang member, and then this guy went and got a gun and retaliated. Mm-hmm. Such a loss, because imagine what Tupac would be right now in 2020. He'd be front line.
We hope so. If you look at his records and the things that he talked about, especially his later records about afterlife and things like that, I don't know. I don't know how long he planned on being here. If you look at, how many lives can you have? He's not a cat. You know what I'm saying? He's dodged it a few times, and he hasn't backed off from dodging it. So it's like in real life. I don't care how good of a fighter you are. You could be Muhammad Ali. If you keep on fighting, you're gonna get your ass busted. Okay, that's all there is to it. I mean, you gotta learn. You gotta know when to get out the game. You gotta know when to stop doing this and to take it to the next level. Just and if you don't do that, eventually, something's gonna happen to you.
Yeah, no, true. I've always, from people that I've spoken to, Pac had this kind of urgency in the studio of trying to get the music out as quickly as possible because he didn't feel like he was going to be here long enough. So he just needed to get out as much as possible while he was there.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you listen to his music, if you listen to, his later records, I mean, he obviously had this thing with death and afterlife. And so, maybe, in a lot of ways, he's fulfilled his prophecy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, along with you and Tupac, Above the Rim had an incredible cast. Wood Harris, who I've interviewed before, Bernie Mac, one of the best ever to do it, Marlon Wayans, and then, of course, Dwayne Martin, who had one of the starring roles, who I didn't know until watching one of your interviews was that he actually was cut from the Knicks. He was that good.
Yeah, no, Dwayne could ball. He was a very good ball player.
Yeah, and I guess you said that this was actually the best movie ever when it comes to basketball players.
I mean, I feel so. I feel as though. I mean, I'm not one usually to talk about my movies in that way, but from being a ball player, I'm saying I feel that way. I mean, you look at other movies where there's professional ball players in it. Well, to me, that doesn't really count because I don't care what they say their name is in the movie. That's who that is. When I say a movie, I'm talking about when you're watching characters that you believe there are somebody else who are exactly who they're supposed to be in the movie. Okay, you're watching a real movie, and the ball is at that level where it doesn't take you out of the story. Okay, so the acting and the ball is exactly the same. Like that to me is how I judge the movie and being a basketball movie.
Okay, who's the best baller on that set?
Oh wow, well you had a lot of ball players from the Rucker up there. So you had Speedy, you had oh man, yeah, there's a bunch of players up there that were just that's what they do. They live on that court. They made their reputation on that court. So
okay, so then the next big film was Waiting to Exhale. Another all-time classic.
For the ladies.
For the ladies, right. You were the married lover of Layla Rashawn.
Yes. Russell.
Is that where you had that line, but it's me, baby?
Yeah, what's so funny, man, is who ran up on me? LL Cool J ran up on me years ago. And he was just like, dude, you got the coldest line that I've ever heard. Yo, the girl tells you can't come in, she's done it, and your response is, but it's me, baby? Damn. He said, if you get away with that. And I was like, I always remember that. So people always remember that line. It's funny.
Well, Angela Bassett is in that movie.
Yeah.
An all-time great.
Of course.
Multi-Oscar winner.
Yeah.
And was that Whitney Houston's first acting role?
No, I don't believe so. I think that other big movie was before, the one with Kevin Costner, Bodyguard. It was before
The Bodyguard. That. Okay, yeah. She was in The Bodyguard already.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Now, I mean, everyone knows Whitney for music. For example, I interviewed Rodney Jerkins recently, who produced some of her hits. And
sure.
He said that she is the greatest female vocalist of all time, period. Mm-hmm. He's like, name one person who's done the national anthem better than Whitney, and you can't name it.
Whitney different, man. Whitney different. You know when you know somebody different? When nobody's been able to do the national anthem yet and touch her.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just saying, I'm just saying, like, people have attempted it, right? People have tried.
Yeah.
And she's given us the staple. She's given us the bar of the national anthem.
How was she on the acting side?
Well, I didn't have any scenes with her. So I really couldn't say what it's like to work with her. But I think that she was dedicated. She brought what she had to the role. I thought she would only, be better and, as she went along, as more opportunities she got. And she would have got tons of opportunities because she was a huge star.
Right, because if you watch the documentary on the Five Heartbeats, she was actually asked to be one of the roles in the Five Heartbeats, and she turned it down.
Baby doll.
Later regretted it.
Yeah. She asked to be Baby doll in Five Heartbeats. Yeah.
Right. When you heard about her death in 2012, how'd you feel?
It was sad, and it was sad that we were losing, one of our greats. Anytime I think that we lose one of our greats, it's it's not a good feeling, especially if you ever had any real contact with her like I had, yeah. I mean, it's you never want to experience that, although we have to all experience it all the time.
Yeah. Now, such a loss, and then losing her daughter some years later in a similar situation. It's just sad, very sad situation.
Yeah, but that's so many people's lives. So many people going through that every single day. You just happen to be, somebody famous that we all know about.
Yep. Well, then you played in the first season of Oz in '97.
Yep.
One of the all-time great series.
Yeah, the first series on HBO. First.
Oh wait, that was the first. That was the first series.
Yeah. They gambled on Tom's idea and let him try a series, and that was the first one. And then after that came The Wire and Sopranos.
I never realized that.
Yeah.
I never realized that. Okay. Oz is dope.
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan. Yeah, you showed up in the first season. I guess in the sixth season you had some some roles.
Well, I died, so they couldn't bring me back to life. Then it becomes a soap opera.
Right. Okay, and then that next year, '98, that's when the Temptations miniseries came out.
Right.
Now, you being in the Five Heartbeats, did that sort of gateway you into being in the Temptations movie?
Well, because I was in the Five Heartbeats, I met Otis Williams. And years previous to the Temptations, and he told me that he had a book and that he was making a movie deal. And that when the movie happens, he wants me to play him. And so around '98, I guess Suzanne DePass and Hallmark got together and they were going to make this movie. And so, I met with them with the blessing of Otis to play him in this movie.
Right, but you didn't play Otis.
No, I didn't play Otis. I didn't play Otis because they asked me, they knew that Otis wanted me to play the role. And so they were willing to, start negotiations. But before they did, they wanted to talk to me first and see what I thought I should play. And I told them, well, I probably would best serve this movie if I played the role of David Ruffin. And they
were the lead singer.
And they were ecstatic. And they were like, that's what we thought. We were hoping you said that. And so they told Otis, and Otis was like, I understand. And, we rolled.
Okay. And I guess Otis only just showed up one time on set because it just got too real for him.
Yeah, he showed up on the wrong day, man. He showed up on the day when I was doing a scene with Tammy Terrell. And it was domestic abuse scene, which actually didn't make the movie. But it was, he saw one take and he was just, no. I can't relive this.
Okay. And the standout line in that movie wasn't even in the original script.
I'm assuming you're talking about ain't nobody come to see you, Otis. Yeah. No, that wasn't in the script, no.
It's so odd to hear you just say it kind of like, nonchalantly like that when you're used to like the snarled version of it.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I'm not trying to do it like I did in the movie.
Right. So I guess there's an interesting story behind that line because you kind of improvised that while you guys were rehearsing for it.
Right.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I just while we were rehearsing, I always stay in character, and so we were just doing the scene, and that just came out. And the director in Al Arkish, who I just talked to a couple of days ago, actually, we were talking about this exactly. He came over, whispered to me, and said, the actor who I said it to doesn't like it when I say that. And I said to him, he's not supposed to like it. Did you see his face when I said it? Isn't that what you want? And he was like, yeah, you're right. Okay. So, I said it.
I mean, that was such an iconic scene, man, because you're sitting there with your friend all coked up, and the two other members come over, and you quit, but then you kind of don't quit, but you end up quitting, pretty much.
Well, I don't quit really. I mean, I'm just kidding with them, but I'm not kidding with them. I'm just seeing how far I can take them. I'm pushing buttons, and they weren't having it.
Right. You say, ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis. You wish you could work it the way I do. Such a dope scene, man. And Smokey Robinson was actually the music composer of that series.
Yeah, Smokey was, and he also appeared in it as well.
Right.
Yeah. So he's a major hero to me. One of the top 3 songwriters for me, period.
I mean, that series is still played on TV to this day.
Oh, please.
I mean, did you think it was going to be as big as it was?
I thought it was going to be big, but it tore up the ratings in TV. I mean, the first night to the second night, forget about it. It was just like, it was a 40-something share. I mean, I had heads of the studio I hadn't heard from in years calling me like, that thing is like a really big thing. I'm like, oh, because all they know is numbers. They see numbers like, wait a second, I know him.
Well, I mean, here's an interesting question. As someone that's worked on both projects, what do you think is a better project? The Temptations movie or the 5 Heartbeats?
No, the two different.
Right, I know.
2 different animals.
But
one's a feature film and one is a miniseries for television. And then also one is fictitious characters and one is, real life characters. So whenever I think you're playing a movie that's a biopic about real life characters, people that walked and talked on this earth, you basically have the blueprint of that real person, and you must capture their spirit because people actually knew them, walked and talked on this earth. They can actually say, no, that's not him. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's such a different animal than creating a character on your own, and having the license to do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love both projects, and I feel like the 5 Heartbeats really kind of set the stage for the Temptations to be as big as it was. And it's really too bad that the 5 Heartbeats didn't get that type of accolade when it came out initially.
Yeah, of course, but it's far from the only really good film that it didn't get its shine when it was supposed to. So.
Yeah. Well, you and Cynthia Bailey, who a lot of people know from Real Housewives of Atlanta, you guys have a child together.
Yeah, my daughter, Noelle.
Noelle, exactly. Now, Noelle recently came out as bisexual.
Fluid, I think, is the word she actually used.
Fluid, yeah. Exactly. And she's actually in a relationship with her girlfriend, Alexis, right now.
No, that's not the case anymore, but she was. Okay. She was at the time.
Okay, at the time. Yeah. And you were completely supportive of this.
I'm completely supportive of my daughter, and who she loves and who loves her is that's got to be her choice. I mean, I could never make that choice as a parent. Nor could my parent make that choice about me. So, yeah, of course I'm gonna be supportive. The most important thing for me is that my daughter is healthy, and that she's in a relationship with whoever she's in. The relationship is healthy. And whoever that is, so be it. That's her life,
when Cynthia started doing reality television, and I don't think, were you ever in any episodes with her at all or no?
Yeah, I had to be on the show. That's Carter was part of our, family deal. And also because people needed to know that Noelle was my daughter, especially when she started having a man and got married. The thought of, people thinking that I wasn't raising my child was not happening. So, I agreed to appear on the show as, always as me, truthful to me and with my daughter only. Yeah.
Well, did you have some concerns? Because when it comes to reality television, it is based on so much drama, and you are more of a private person, and with reality TV, suddenly that privacy gets kind of thrown out the window, and everything gets exposed, and it's not always in a very positive light because that's not what reality show is about.
Right.
Was there a concern about Cynthia doing it and you being involved?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. But once it was made clear that, my visits on the show, which would happen, once or twice a season, were basically around our daughter and her storyline. And, she can't have a storyline without a father. And that's it. And, I'm not in the cast. There's no drama that will ever be around me. I'm there because people need to know Noelle has a father. And that's it. And that's the way it's said. And I guess people love me on the show. I don't watch it, but from my social media, yeah.
Right, because when I was doing research, there was like an interview that Cynthia did where she denied getting back together with you and everything else like that. So this is what I mean. Like, you get dragged into stuff that you're not even part of.
When there's press, people are going to say all kinds of things about you. That's okay. As long as they talk about you. I don't worry about anything that they can't prove.
There you go. Well, then in 2000, you played Little Richard.
Yeah.
Which is, this is a very iconic musician here.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Can't get more iconic.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Prince, you could definitely say modeled himself after Little Richard.
To some degree, yeah, definitely. I think Little Richard would take that credit. That's for sure.
Yeah. And, Little Richard was still alive during the time that you were filming this. And I guess at one point, Little Richard was on set while you were working, and you actually had to kick Little Richard off because you said there could only be one Little Richard at a time.
Yeah, he was in my line of sight. When I was doing when I was about to do a scene, I'm like, I can't do that. I can't be Little Richard and Little Richard be there. There's only one Little Richard on set. So he understood. He was cool. He knew my dedication to it. So, yeah.
How did Little Richard feel about, the way you portrayed him?
He liked it. I think his one comment said that I did a very good job, except that he was prettier. And I said, I'll take that.
Little Richard definitely made himself pretty in his heyday. With the hair and the makeup and everything.
Dude, if you look at pictures of Little Richard in the late 50s, early 60s, dude, he was a stud. Great face, great cheekbones, everything, man. He was a good-looking guy.
Oh yeah, man, an icon. Rest in peace, Little Richard. One of the fathers of rock and roll, really.
Architect.
Yeah,
as he liked to say.
Yeah, I agree. And you got an Emmy nomination for that role.
No, I was supposed to get an Emmy nomination. I didn't.
Oh.
What
happened with that?
I was projected to win the Emmy by both trade publications. And I don't know. Maybe I didn't have the machinery behind me. I don't really know. I don't know much. I don't know much about that world. I know I know how to act and produce and sing.
Now you were in the Muhammad Ali film, but you had kind of a smaller role, right?
No, I took an uncredited role.
Okay.
Yeah, I met with Michael Mann, who I was a fan of, and he was a fan of Above the Rim. And a guy like Michael Mann comes to you and says, he'd like for you to do a very important role, which was the most important to me, is how important the role is, not the size of it. And I need you to do a role that that requires you not to say much, but you can act and say everything with your eyes, because I saw you do that in Above the Rim. And I said, okay. And so I did it, and it was a very pivotal role when you find out who I am. And yeah, it was cool, but it was an uncredited role. I didn't take any credit because I don't know what happened at the time, but it was probably one of those situations where I couldn't get the credit that I'm accustomed to. So I just said, it wasn't important to me. I just wanted to do the movie, so I just did it.
And Ali was such a iconic figure. I just interviewed Larry Holmes the other day,
Mm-hmm.
Who fought Ali, late in Ali's career.
Yeah, that was a depressing fight for everybody, I think, including him.
No, he cried after he won.
Yeah. I mean, nobody wanted to see that. No, nobody wanted to see that.
He literally, because that was his friend, that was his sparring partner. He was going with Ali to all his, Rumble in the Jungle and Thriller in Manila, and that was like his hero. And the fact that he had to beat up his hero. He said, what was interesting, I never knew this before. He said that in the fight, he never closed his fist. He always kept his hands open because he didn't want to hurt Ali.
And I was hitting it with open hands, not with the closed fist like that. With the closed fist, I was hitting him with an open hand with a glove. Bang, 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 like that, bang, bang. That was open hand. It wasn't hurting him. It was not hurting. And then I slap him, bam, upside the head. Bam, I slap him, bam, I slap him, bam, I slap him. That's what I would do to him. And with no punch and no fist in the glove, with no fist in the glove. It's just like this. Slap, 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 slap on the body there in the face.
Yeah, no, so he basically just slapped him up.
Yeah. I never heard that before, but yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's tough. I think I always imagine when some of these athletes and stuff have to play against the heroes. I mean, there's guys coming into league, say even in the NBA right now. And in the NFL, who are going to play against and sack Tom Brady, or go up and and get 30 on LeBron, but in a way they just like all they really want to do is have him sign his sneakers. You know what I'm saying? It's got to be a crazy feeling.
Yeah, and really Ali shouldn't have taken that fight at all, because if you watch his interviews around that time. He was already starting to speak slowly. No. Before the fight, he couldn't even touch his finger to his nose.
No, that was a money situation. That's all. That was a money situation. Yeah. For everybody, for Holmes as well. That was a money situation. Yeah. Ali's name sells. Yeah. Ali's in the fight, no matter what his condition is, it's box office.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's sad that he had to keep fighting. Because I asked him, I said, why, I asked Larry, I'm like, well, what was the point? Ali had been making millions and millions of dollars. He goes, yeah, but he's also was spending it. And, he got like a few $1 million for that fight, and everyone knew he shouldn't have taken it, including Larry. And, you saw what happened.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, even after he stopped boxing, he did so much in the world, so much goodwill, so much charity. He raised so much money. He went and traveled all through Africa and so forth. I mean, the lighting of the Olympic torch. He almost did more outside the ring than he did in the ring.
Yeah. I mean, I think he would, and that would have happened to him even if he hadn't fought so long, because he became such an iconic figure. So I think that, it's unfortunate that, being the fighter that he was, that, he continued to fight beyond his time.
Yeah. Well, the next film you did was Buffalo Soldiers with Joaquin Phoenix. How was that experience?
It's interesting. It's fun. We were all in Germany, driving Mercedes that were given to us by production, and it was interesting. It was fun. Be around all those bunch of guys and some really fine actors in that movie. And I really thought we were making something, really special. That's another film that unfortunately came out at the wrong time.
Right. I mean, because when you watch Joaquin Phoenix do the Joker, you know, and, you know, I mean, there's really an argument of like who the best Joker was. Was it Heath Ledger? Was it, you know, Joaquin Phoenix? Was it Jack Nicholson? I don't know. I might have to give it to Joaquin.
Yeah, you know, it's okay. For one thing, it's really hard to compare acting performances. You know, I never really understood that. Unless actors are acting under the same conditions, you know, with the same DP, the same director, you know, and more importantly, the same storyline. You know, you're talking about an actor who has a whole movie dedicated to him, as opposed to those other characters who were just part of a Batman movie, who played the villain. So, I mean, I think it's hard to compare that. You know, Jack Nicholson never had his own movie, The Joker. You know what I'm saying? So, but so I don't like the comparisons, but I think all of them are fantastic. I think Joaquin's movie, you know, was damn near dedicated to him and his characteristics and all the things that he did. Usually, an actor does not have that kind of time on screen to see those kind of, you know, intricacies in their performance, and so that's great for him. And I think that he benefited from it greatly, and we all did.
Yeah, hell of a film. Hell of a film. Like that scene in the subway when he shoots those guys, I must have rewound that probably like 30 times. just the power of that scene was just like, damn. Well, then you were in a Get Rich or Die Trying with 50 Cent. You had a small role in that.
Yeah, I was a very big fan of that director. He directed, you know, about 3 Daniel Day-Lewis movies. And, we met several times, and he asked me to do that role, and I was just like, yeah, you know, here's a guy that I'm a fan of, and, you know, Irish director I'm a very big fan of, and I'm like, okay, sure, why not? I'm available. I'll do it. And so that's how it came about.
Well, and then you basically just kept doing movies every couple of years. I mean, I'm looking through the, you know, your IMDb page, from Cover to Brooklyn Heist to The Heart Specialist to Ex-Free to Against the Jab, Where the Children Play. I mean, you've consistently stayed a working actor for, 30 years now? 40? Wait, how many years now? Almost 40 years.
Yeah, I'm trying.
I mean, for everyone who's watching this right now, who's, doing odd jobs in Hollywood and staying with their 3 friends in a small apartment trying to get that first break, how do you consistently become a working actor like a Leon to get so many roles and consistently stay working? Like, what would be your advice?
Well, my advice would be to approach it as a career. I think, today's young actor can be part of a, get famous now culture that we have because of the internet and because of social media. And I think that if you approach it as a career, just as you would as a doctor or a lawyer, where you go to school for a certain amount of years and you've tried to get into the right firm and you try to make sure you build a strong client list, I think that's the same way you should approach acting. You should approach acting as if, you're going to study to be the best actor you can be. You can always keep trying to be better. You're going to try to land roles, whether it be in movies, television, or theater, that help you get exposure, but also help you become a better, actor, so that when you do get your chance, you kill it. Because that's basically what it's about. And most people never get their chance, and when you, and some people get that chance and don't take advantage of it. And when the right person takes advantage of that opportunity, that's when you see that magic. That's because you couldn't imagine anyone ever playing that role than that person. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we all strive for. So I think that if you're a young actor, go into this with the idea that you want to build something. You're constantly building. You're not trying to become a star next year. You're constantly building to where you're going to be able to do this for 20, 30 years of your life and not just do it for a while and the next thing you know, you're trying to find another career.
Well, right, because you mentioned theater. You've done theater as well.
Oh, yeah. And I will continue to do theater. I mean, I love doing theater. It's if you consider yourself a storyteller like I do, okay, theater is the only place that you can actually tell an audience a story from beginning to end right in front of them. It's not like a movie or TV where we shoot things out of order and they put everything together in the editing room. It's like theater is you actually tell a story to an audience and you watch them experience it in real time. I mean, it's a thrill that I don't know that if you don't have as an actor, I don't know, you're missing something.
Well, I mean, we just interviewed Chaka Khan, who did some Broadway herself, and she said it's like slave labor. She said it's like the hardest she's ever had to work in her whole life.
Yeah, well, you have to
do theater.
That's slave labor. I'm gonna tell you that. Anybody who does Broadway, it's the closest thing to probably slavery that there is.
They're not paying you enough.
Okay, never. They couldn't.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Because you know what you're gonna be doing for the rest for your a big part of your life. Because they don't take you for 5 minutes. You got to play.
You gotta commit.
Yes, and so you know exactly what you're going to be doing. That's like hell.
Yeah, we have to understand she's a singer doing a play. You know what I'm saying? Not like an actor, a trained actor doing a play, because that's how we train, is on stage. Yeah. And so if you think about the work, how much work it takes, well, let's say I do a play and say I rehearse that play for 3 months. Okay. Then I put the play up and then I'm doing it, 7 to 8 times a week. Okay. I'm coming in at 5 o'clock, 5:30. I'm doing the show, leaving at 11. That's not bad hours. That's not bad hours. I think a lot of people trade those hours that I'm doing.
Yeah. I mean, do you enjoy doing theater as opposed to scripted film?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah. I mean, the thrill of being on stage is just amazing. But I think I was born to be on film. And so, I mean, that's what I do. And that's also, it's a better living, put it that way. Make more money that way.
Right. Well, speaking of performance, you've always done music as well.
Yeah. I mean, for a long time, I've had my band, Leon and the Peoples. And yeah, we do our thing just as well. Love it.
Right. And you actually went on tour with Beres Hammond at one point.
Oh, yeah. I've been on 4 tours with Beres Hammond. But my band, my complete band went on a tour with, For the Love of It tour with me, my band, Leon and Peoples, Marcia Griffiths, and Beres Hammond.
Right. And I actually got a chance to listen to your music.
Good, I'm glad.
Before the interview. Sometimes I Wish I Was Single. That's my song.
That's a lot of people's song. Yeah, people take to that. Sometimes we're performing and people just yelling out, "Single, single, play single." I'm like, I'm gonna get to it.
Okay, and then the newest song is "The World's Gonna Come Around."
Yeah, that's a song that's actually on our album, but I did an art for activism version of it, which is what you see now is the video that's out now. And yeah, I mean, I'm really happy that people love it. It's a video and song about our times right now. It's important to get out there and vote. It's important to realize that we are the only ones that can change things if we really want things to change. And that we have to embrace ourselves as a nation and as and all our different cultures and realize that the real pandemic is racism, and that's what we really need to be working on. Okay.
Right. And, I go through your Instagram page and you do put a lot of political messages out there about Trump, about the state of, politics right now. Did you already vote or do you plan on voting?
Oh, yeah, of course. Definitely going to vote. I couldn't possibly be out there encouraging people to vote and not vote myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'm hoping to vote early, but these lines are long.
I mean, I think I already know the answer, but can you say who you voted for?
I haven't voted yet.
Oh, you haven't voted yet? Okay, but you do have a game plan for your voting.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you want to know who I want to vote in the presidential election?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. There's, I cannot take another day of Trump. All I want is for him to go away. I don't want him to just lose. I want him to go away. Okay, I just don't want to wake up in the morning hearing about my president. I've lived on this earth long enough to know that you're not supposed to hear about your president every day doing something crazy. It's just, that's not the way it's supposed to be. He's supposed to be governing. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear about all the other stuff.
Yeah, and I interview so many artists, and when I ask them about voting, almost all of them say they're not voting.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
But hopefully where they're not voting doesn't really matter, because it's not going to swing the election one way or the other. Like, for example, in New York, it doesn't matter. It's going to go Democratic. Same thing with California and other places. The swing states that really matter because we have a flawed electoral system. So those are the battleground states. That's what it really matters. There's some states that are going to turn a certain way no matter what. And so, we just have to see what happens.
Right. Well, I voted, and I voted for Biden. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is that along with voting for the president, you're also voting for a lot of important propositions in your cities and your states. And, in terms of the way the prison systems are run, in terms of the way education is run, in terms of, for example, one of the propositions was to allow people to vote at 17 if they would turn 18 by the time the election actually happens, and so forth. There's a lot of really important things that are happening.
I mean, if they turn 18 the year of the election happening.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I said it wrong. But what I'm saying is that there's so many important things on that ballot besides just the president.
Oh, yeah.
And best believe all the Trump supporters, they're all voting for these things.
Oh, yeah.
They're all churning out.
Listen, without doubt, that's the whole point. The whole point is for everyone to turn out. The whole point is for us, whoever wins this election in the Senate race, the presidency, and all things that are on the ballot, right? That it really truly reflect what this nation wants. Okay, that's the ultimate goal here. I can't control who's going to win and who's going to lose, but let it truly be what this nation really wants, because everyone voted, as opposed to a lot of people didn't vote, and we're not getting the person in there that should be in there. That's all I'm saying.
Right, because when I initially posted my my registration to try to get more people to vote, the hundreds of comments were, oh, it doesn't matter. The Electoral College is going to cheat us anyways, just like they did last time. And that was the general responses that I was getting from people. And it was really kind of disheartening.
Yeah, but this is what I have to say about this. Everyone in this country and around the world, but especially in this country, is feeling the pain of this country right now and the state that we're in, economically, racially, and health-wise. I mean, I've never experienced a year like this in my life, okay? And so if that is not enough to make you want to do anything you can to be a part of whatever you want to change, so be it. So be it. I mean, that's just the kind of person you are. And there's always going to be people like that. And you'll never be able to change that. So if you want to not vote, if you don't want to take the time out of your day, if you don't think it's worth it, or maybe you're just lazy, okay, so be it. There's always going to be a fraction of people that way. And so you can try to convince people, and if they don't go that way, they don't go that way. It's just like you tell somebody, look, I'm telling you, this jerk chicken is the best you've ever had, and he won't try it. He'd be like, it's all right, well, I'll eat it then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm hoping everyone that watches this is going to influence them to go and actually vote, because people have died, people have gotten beat up, people have gotten threatened, people have gotten their houses burned down just for the right to vote. Just for that right.
The people fought for our right to vote. And they could say put their life on the line, so people lost their lives for it. But as much as we want to talk about the previous generations that did that, the most convincing thing I have to say to people who are on the fence about voting is this. It's really not about us. If you're my age, even if you're over 40 years old, it's not about us. It's about the children. It's about your next generation. It's about your kids. That we've lived most of our lives, okay? That's who we're voting for right now. We're voting to see that they can have a better world than the one we're in right now. So they don't have a repeat of 2020. Okay, that's what we're voting for. So if you don't care about anything else in the world, and I don't care what political party you're in, okay, what side of the aisle you're in, if you don't love your children enough to want this place to be better, then you shouldn't even be here. Okay, you shouldn't even be a parent, as far as I'm concerned.
100% agree. And that's how we're going to end it. Leon, definitely a pleasure and an honor. An almost 40-year career with iconic films, timeless classics, and someone who I feel has always held on to their integrity. You know, I remember there was a Denzel Washington quote, who I know is a good friend of yours, where he said that you're going to be more defined by the roles you turn down as opposed to the roles you take. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure along the way you've turned down a lot of roles.
Yeah, but also luckily roles have turned you down as well that you weren't supposed to take. Mm. And so, I just really think for the most part, if you're an actor or an entertainer, but especially an actor, if you enter into whatever you do with integrity as art, as if you are actually in there trying to create something, to make someone believe something, to breathe life into a role, people are always going to look at you in a positive way. And so I think, and I think that you can't be, for me personally, I can't be so caught up in that I become a safe actor, because I'm not a safe actor. I like to take chances. I like to put myself in situations that I think will shock people or tug at their heart or get them to react, period. I think when I stop having that feeling, I think I'll stop doing it. And now we're going to stop for real.
There you go. Leon, man, definitely a pleasure to sit down with you. Wish you all the best.
The same here, man. Appreciate it.
That's what it is.
All right.
Peace.